Hi everyone, welcome to Avebury on this lovely late summer morning. My name is Mike Robinson and I'm a National Trust guide here for the last 9 years. What we're trying to do today is give you a very high level view of Avebury, just a whirlwind tour, picking out some of the highlights so that we will encourage you to come back and do one of our proper tours when things are back to normal. We're standing inside the largest prehistoric stone circle in the world. And this circle we think had about 100 stones in it, and you can see about a third of them today. Where these concrete markers are up there is where the man who excavated here in the 1930s, Alexander Keeler, found the hole for a stone, but the stone had gone. And we've also got stones buried here. Lots of stones were buried in the Middle Ages, and we still have an almost complete run of stones over on the southeastern side of the henge, or the stone circle. But unfortunately they're under the ground, so you can't see them. But we haven't just got the biggest stone circle in the world here. It's surrounded by what we call a henge monument. And a henge monument is an earthen monument, and this is also one of the biggest in Britain. It consists of a ditch and a bank, and the crucial thing about a classic henge like Avebury is that the ditch is on the inside and the bank is on the outside. So it probably means that Avebury is not a fort. Now this was built around 2600 to 2500 BC, and probably the stones went up afterwards. And it was all done in the Stone Age, so there's no metal tools, there's no shovels, there's no picks, well there are picks, but they're red deer antler picks. So 200,000 cubic meters of soil moved by people using red deer antlers and wicker baskets. The bank and ditch at Avebury are the most impressive of all the surviving henges in Britain. But the ditch was actually deeper than it is now, and the bank was slightly higher. So the ditch was actually 9 to 10 metres deep, about 30 feet deep, and the bank would have been 6 metres high, another 20 feet. So a formidable obstacle, but it's the wrong way around to keep something out. Maybe it's the right way around to keep something in. We're now standing at the northern entrance to Avebury, and Avebury has 4 entrances, roughly north, south, east and west, not quite on the cardinal points. And at the entrances the stones are much bigger than the other stones in the circle. The big stones at Stonehenge weigh about 30 to 40 tons. This one weighs 70 and it's not the biggest here. It's also very shallowly set in the ground, about a metre, less than a metre in the ground, like a lot of the stones here. As well as the largest stone circle in the world and one of the largest henges, we've also got at Avebury 2 inner circles, a northern and a southern inner circle. And our inner circles are about 100 metres across, and that would comfortably put them in the top 10 stone circles in Britain, but they're just our inner circles. Now there's not much left of them. You can see 4 stones in the northern inner circle where we are at the moment. A bit of a clue about where the stones have gone, maybe in those cottages over there. So we're at the centre of the northern inner circle, and at the centre you have this massive stone. In fact there were 3 stones in the 18th century, the early 18th century. And this stone is the heaviest standing stone in the British Isles. It weighs between 100 and 110 tons. By the way, it's not in concrete and it's leaning towards me. However, this stone is an exception. There's far more of this stone under the ground than all the others that have been so far excavated. Okay, well now we've come to the top of the southern bank of the henge to look at the scale of Avebury, because as I said before, when you're inside the stone circles you only ever see a quarter of it at a time. But from up here we can see the whole thing, and you can see how vast it is, how far it is to the other side, quarter of a mile across. And if we look at the structure, we're on top of the bank. Below us is the ditch, and that ditch would have been 2 to 3 times deeper than it is now and much more steep-sided, a formidable obstacle. And then coming around the other side of the ditch, we have the outer circle of stones and the southern entrance just here in front of us. And then in this blank space over here, there's actually almost a complete run of stones, but they're still under the ground. And you can see on the far side another of the outer circle stones, and the bank on the other side. You can also see from here the southern inner circle. So we were in the northern one earlier. We're now looking at the southern one in the middle of the outer circle. Not quite in the middle. And you can see an arc of stones coming round. It looks a bit more like a circle than the northern one because all the surviving stones are together. And in the middle of that we have a very large concrete obelisk. And that concrete obelisk was the site of the tallest standing stone at Avebury. So we're going to walk down there and talk a little bit about the southern inner circle. Now the obelisk marks the site of what would have been the tallest stone at Avebury. 22 feet long, so 18 feet out of the ground, 6 metres high. And it's at the corner of what we now know is a very early building, much earlier than what else you see at Avebury. And it's this is the location of one of the most exciting discoveries at Avebury in recent years, in 2017 in fact, by Leicester University doing ground penetrating radar in this area. And what they discovered is that this small line of stones here behind me is actually one side of a 30-metre square. And the square is at the middle of the southern inner circle. And the tall stone was at the edge of the foundations of a very old building, perhaps 1,000 years older than what we see today at Avebury, perhaps even more. And what we think is happening is people have come along later, venerating ancestors, and they see the footings of this building, the remains of where it had been, and they think this man must have been a woman, must have been a founder of Avebury. And so what they do is they put a great big standing stone up in one corner of where the house was, and they build a 30-metre square around it on the same axis as the axis of the house. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this whirlwind tour of Avebury. At the moment we can't say when live tours will resume again, but please keep your eye on the website, and as soon as we've got some information we'll put it up there.